he's been great in open gym, right? Really good. He seems like one of those players that's going to find a way. He does a lot of things well. Good cutter, good offensive rebounder. Funny, Mark Madsen, his coach, is here today, which I love. He told me when we drafted him, he goes, Jalen's going to end up in your rotation pretty soon. That's how much confidence he has on him. So he's been really, really intriguing and played well the first day of camp.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac. And as you heard there, that was Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson on what he's seen so far from Jaylen Tyson at training camp. And it's pretty high praise for the 20th overall pick. And you don't have to go far to hear similar sentiments being echoed.
Jaylen knows how to play the game. You know what I mean? He's very smart. He knows what spots to be in offensively, defensively. And he's very eager to learn, you know what I mean? He's played a lot of basketball. I didn't even know he was 21. I thought he was 24 or 25, the way that he kind of handles himself and knows where to be. But I think he has a lot of upside. A lot of Cavs fans are going to be excited when they see him play. I think he fits right into what we do.
From one 20th overall pick to another, that's also pretty high praise. And yes, I do understand. Trust me, this is training camp, and you will hear things like this on the regular basis from franchises around the league as they attempt to pump up their young players' confidence. But I don't know if it's just me or if I'm just caught up in the moment and whatnot. This, to me, does kind of seem like genuine praise. It seems damn genuine to me. And everyone that you talk to about Tyson seems to have nothing but great things to say about the young man. Something that just about everyone has mentioned, including himself, is his eagerness to learn and his willingness to play whatever role they ask of him. When asked about his individual expectations for his rookie season, Tyson said, obviously, whatever I could do to help this team win, I'm willing to do. But I haven't set any expectations, just to get better every day, and whatever the coaching staff wants me to do that to the highest of levels. And then conversely, when asked about the expectations he has for the team, the Cavaliers, win a championship, no ifs, ands, or buts. He was also quoted as saying, yeah, I just feel like I'm a versatile player. I can do whatever's needed for me. Obviously, at Cal, last year I got down here a hill a little bit more. But if you look at my Texas Tech year, I was shooting catch and shoots. So getting used to the three ball, and I've been working a lot of corners. That's all we've been working on, and hit some today, actually. So we're just going to keep working on it, and hopefully I'll end up a career 40% shooter from deep. And you also heard Atkinson say that Tyson's former coach at Cal, Mark Madsen, told him upon Tyson getting drafted that it would be in the rotation pretty soon. When you hear things like that, guys, it can be pretty easy to write it off simply as a coach talking up his former star player. But the more that you see from Tyson and the more you hear from those around him and then they speak on him, it's not so difficult to actually see him being a part of this Cavs rotation at some point during his rookie season. Of course, there are some definitive roadblocks standing in his way right now, most notably the players on the roster who are presumably higher than him on the depth chart. Now, I never really want to presume anything in terms of depth charts and rosters and how certain coaches view these things, but just based upon what we have seen across the past few seasons with the Cavs roster and not basically changing at all, I think it's fair to say we can have some assumptions here. In particular, Max Strus and Isaac Okoro kind of are above him if he's going to be played at the 3. And then, Sam Merrill, Ty Jerome, Craig Porter Jr., and a few others will also be vying for minutes as well when you're including the backcourt position as well, because we know that Jaylen Tyson can play anywhere 1 through 3 at this point in time. And obviously Darius, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So finding this very talented youngster minutes may be difficult at first without experimenting with some strange lineup combinations. And if Atkinson truly does decide to go with a 10 or 11 man rotation like we've heard, I suppose it gets a little easier, but not by much. The rotation that I keep coming back to includes the starters, that is Darius, Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett. And then your additional 5-man group off the bench in no order is Caris LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Sam Merrill, Dean Wade, and George Niang. Now, and when you look at that, when you hear that, you're probably thinking, wow, you didn't include certain names. And look, I get it. There are some notable exclusions here. Ty Jerome, who missed all but 2 games last year. Craig Porter Jr., Jr., who performed nicely last year after being given a real opportunity to contribute following the injuries to Jerome, Darius, Garland, and others throughout the year, and Tristan Thompson, of course, the only other true 5 on the roster. That is 13 players opposite Tyson that may all be vying for minutes. So honestly, even going with an 11-man rotation doesn't truly solve the issue in this case. Somebody possibly deserving of minutes may get left out in the cold. It's not even just one person, it's multiple people, if we're being honest. This could heavily depend on the philosophies in play here. Will Atkinson choose to roll out a lot of small ball lineups? Will he prioritize shooting lineups? Will he want to rotate the starting bigs at the backup 5 in an effort to make sure that one of Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen is always out there? That may allow you to play a little bit smaller and get some of those shooters and guys who might fit together well in terms of rebounding. Will he face organizational pressure to play the rookie? I don't know. Time will tell, but these are a lot of questions that will have to be answered before Tyson can presumably take the floor. And then there's Caris LeVert's impending free agency and how that could potentially play a role as well. And no, I am not saying in any shape or form that Tyson will have a direct impact on that, but it's not really all that hard to see how moving on from Caris LeVert around the deadline or so could benefit Tyson and others by simply clearing up the logjam and freeing up some of those minutes, right? Tyson's impact in whatever minutes he gets early on could also be a determining factor here. Can he make an impact as soon as he gets out there in an off-ball role or on ball, however they decide to play him? Would the Cavs truly feel comfortable giving him a role come the playoffs when rotations typically tighten and shorten? And of course, something that nobody can truly ever predict, injuries. Those will happen. I hope they don't happen like they have the past couple of seasons to specific players that we really need. But all of these things and factors, in addition to that, will play a role in how soon Jaylen Tyson sees the court on a regular basis. And over the last 10 seasons, I took a look. The 20th overall pick has either been glued to the bench for most of the season or he's played a real role to kick things off. And we start off with Cam Whitmore, last year's 20th overall pick, who played 18.7 minutes per game across 47 appearances. Then we go to Malachi Branham at 23.5 minutes per game at 66 games. Jalen Johnson at 5.5 minutes per game across only 22 games. Precious Achua, 12.1 minutes per game across 61 appearances. We got Matisse Thybulle at 19.8 minutes per game across 65. We got Josh Okogie at 23.7 minutes per game across 74 appearances. Harry Giles across 58 appearances and 14.1 minutes per game across those. We got his teammate Caris LeVert, who played 21.7 minutes per game across 57 appearances, under Kenny Atkinson, by the way. We got DeLon Wright, 8.5 minutes per game across 27 total appearances, and then Bruno Caboclo, just 2.9 minutes per game across 8 games. Now, just for argument's sake, I also went back and looked at how many rookies actually played a meaningful role in the postseason for teams over the last 5 years. And look, I use the word meaningful very, very loosely, very, very sparingly. I'm just going to boil it down to minutes per game and appearances. Those are the parameters that I will use for this exercise. And I'll set those at least 15 minutes per game and 4 playoff appearances. This past postseason, 5 rookies from 4 different teams met those requirements and played sizable roles for their respective teams. You got Chet Holmgren, 34.5 minutes per game. Jaime Jaquez Jr. for Miami, 30.6 minutes per game. Derek Lively, who played 22 minutes per game. Cason Wallace, 19.8 minutes per game. Ben Shepherd for Indiana, 19.7 minutes per game. Out of 16 total playoff teams this past postseason, 4 gave rookies a chance. Some of that is by design. Some of it was out of sheer necessity due to injury. The year prior, it was just 1. Keegan Murray for Sacramento, 27.7 minutes per game. And then in the 2021-22 season, it was actually 7. You got Herb Jones, who played 37.7 minutes per game. You got Scotty Barnes at 33.2 minutes per game. Trey Murphy III at 20 minutes per game. Jose Alvarado of New Orleans, 19.5 minutes per game. Bones Highland for the Clippers, 17.3 minutes per game. Ayo Dosunmu, 17.1 minutes per game for Chicago. And then Zaire Williams, 16.8 minutes per game for Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. In 2020-21, there were 4. Facundo Campazzo, man, I knew I was going to fuck that up. Campazzo, 27 minutes per game. Desmond Bane, 19.8 minutes per game. Emmanuel Quickly, 15.4 minutes per game. Aaron Nesmith, 15 minutes per game. And last but certainly not least, during the 2019-20 season, there were 6. Tyler Hero, 33.6 minutes per game. Blue Dort, 29.2 minutes per game. Michael Porter Jr., 23.7 minutes per game. Matisse Thybulle, 18.8 minutes per game. Darius Bailey, 18 minutes per game. Kendrick Nunn, 15.9 minutes per game. That's a lot. Again, some of these are due to injury, but some are really just a case of a rookie seizing the opportunity and running with it. Some of these players have gone on or started to look like stars, starting caliber talents, or quality role players. So in total, we have 23 players over the last 5 seasons who managed to play a rotational role during the rookie season in the playoffs. It's not bad in my opinion. And when you think about it that way, envisioning Jaylen Tyson playing a rotational role in the postseason isn't that difficult. It's just going to be tough as of now considering these circumstances. Some of the names mentioned fell into the right roles as at the start of the rookie season. Some of them were afforded a starting role earlier on to prove their worth during the regular season. Others had to wait in line and take advantage of an injury to one of their fellow teammates. That right there, that last part might be how Tyson gets in, but time will tell. One thing we already know for sure is that the dude has a good head on his shoulders and is already starting to turn heads with his play at camp. And before we end things here, I'll leave you with some words from his former coach at Cal, Mark Madsen, who just so happened to be in attendance at today's camp festivities. Madsen had this to say about his former star player. I'll just say this. Jaylen Tyson, any team he's on, he's going to help that team win. High character, great player, great person. Go Cavs.